Hey guys, tonight we're journeying into the heart of the ancient Maya world, where sleep wasn't just rest, but a sacred act of communication with the gods. You're not just lying down on a bed. You're preparing for a journey through the underworld, guided by chants, scented smoke, and dreams that could decide the fate of your family or your city. The stars above you aren't just decoration. They're divine forces watching you sleep, waiting for your mind to slip into that soft, in-between space where humans and gods sometimes meet. Of course, you probably wouldn't survive 5 minutes there without the right rituals. This isn't the kind of place where you just throw yourself onto a mattress and scroll through your phone. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from tonight? And what time is it where you are? Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're walking barefoot through the cool stone corridor of a noble's home in the Maya city of Palenque. The moon is low, casting silver light through intricately carved lattice windows. Around you, shadows stretch and curl like ancient glyphs come to life. A soft breeze brings the scent of copal resin, still lingering from the evening's ceremonies. Tonight is no ordinary night. You've been invited to sleep like the nobles did a rare, sacred honor, one usually reserved for scribes, seers, or those born beneath particularly lucky constellations. A servant waits near a raised stone platform, padded with woven reeds and soft jaguar pelts. This is your bed, though to call it that feels strange. It is an altar as much as it is a place of rest. Above it, the open ceiling lets in the stars. The Milky Way spills across the sky like a divine path, the very one your soul is expected to walk during dreams. To the Maya, the night sky wasn't distant or decorative. It was a living map of gods and ancestors, and every wink of starlight had a purpose. As you sit, you notice the 4 cornerstones of the platform, each carved with the face of a different god. One bears the toothy snarl of the underworld lord, another the serene face of a moon goddess. Each will guard a direction of your sleep, holding you in spiritual balance. A gentle rustle breaks the silence. A dreamkeeper enters. She's an older woman in a deep blue tunic, her hair bound with woven threads and small shells that click softly as she walks. She carries a bowl of fragrant oil made from crushed frangipani and cedar bark, and gently touches your temples with it. She leans in close and whispers names, not yours. These are the names of your ancestors, recited in the language of the old glyphs. They're meant to guide your spirit toward them, should they wish to speak with you tonight. She places a carved jade figurine beside your sleeping mat, an animal spirit linked to your birth sign. A tapir, with eyes half closed in dream. You've been told the tapir guides those who dream deep enough to see the gods without losing themselves. You lie down. The pelts are cool at first, the jaguar's fur still marked with faint, rhythmic dyes. They say each stripe tells a story. You wonder what this one tells, what dreams it remembers from the last noble who slept on it. Above, a faint drumbeat echoes from far across the city. You can't see the temple it comes from, but you know the priests there are performing the twilight rite soft, slow rhythms to lull the gods into peaceful slumber, in hopes that your own will mirror theirs. A servant nearby quietly places small clay bowls along the room's edge, offerings to the lords of the night. One bowl contains crushed cacao beans. Another holds blue maize. The last is filled with tiny feathers. Each element represents part of the dreaming body heart, mind, and breath. You let your eyes close, but even now, You're not expected to simply drift off. The Maya believed that sleep was not passive. It was a skill, an art, and a test. Your breath must be measured. The dreamkeeper once told you that uneven breath invites false dreams, chaotic images that serve no divine purpose. So, you inhale deeply, hold gently, and exhale with care, again and again. A tiny bell chimes somewhere near your feet, a final signal the night gods are near. Your thoughts begin to dissolve, not into randomness, but into rhythm, soft images rising like steam from a still pond. You're falling, but not down. You're falling inward, toward the sacred space where the gods speak in symbols and your ancestors remember you. Somewhere in the distance, you hear soft voices, priests still awake, chanting in time with the stars. The night deepens. You are not just sleeping. You are entering a temple that exists only in dreams. And in this temple, you are expected to listen. Your breath evens out as the dream begins to take form, not a sudden plunge, but a gentle unfolding, like smoke curling from a flame. The soft pelt beneath you becomes the ground of a vast forest. The cedar scent lingers, but it now mingles with damp earth and wild orchids. You are no longer just lying on a bed in a noble's chamber. You are walking through the jungle of your own memory, guided by stars and spirits. The deeper you go, the more you sense that the line between dreaming and waking is not so clear in this world. And that's exactly how the Maya nobles intended it. For them, dreaming wasn't an escape from the day, it was a continuation of their sacred duties. And for that, every detail of the sleeping chamber was crafted with intention. Even your pillow, though you wouldn't call it soft, is an artifact of belief. It's carved from smooth jade, cool against your neck. Jade, to the Maya, wasn't just decoration. It symbolized breath, life, and connection to the gods. To rest your head upon it was to surrender to divine will. Some said jade absorbed dreams, holding them like dew until morning. All around you, the air seems to shimmer faintly. The faint scent of burning wood hangs in the air. That isn't accidental. Before sleep, a servant lit a small censer of burning cedar and copal an offering to the god Itzamna, Lord of wisdom and creation. The curling smoke was believed to purify your thoughts and soften the barrier between body and soul. Historians still argue whether the resins themselves had any real psychoactive effects, or whether the ritual alone shifted the mind. But for the Maya, the purpose wasn't pharmacological, it was spiritual. The room is silent, but not empty. You can feel it, the weight of unseen things watching gently from the corners. Not ominous, not threatening, just aware. Every carved lintel, every stone tile underfoot was designed to align with celestial patterns. To sleep here was to place yourself directly beneath the gaze of the heavens. And then footsteps, slow, deliberate. You don't need to open your eyes. You've been told what to expect. The dreamkeeper has returned, this time with her hands painted black from wrist to fingertip. She kneels beside you, whispering softly not to you, but to something above you. Her voice is hushed, reverent, like someone reading a sacred recipe aloud to the wind. She carries with her a small bundle of bones and seeds wrapped in red thread, shaking it gently as she speaks. It rattles with a rhythm that matches the pulse behind your eyes. She presses her fingers lightly to your forehead and murmurs the name of an ancestor. Not one you know, not even a recent one. This is the name of someone whose burial was marked with obsidian and river stones, whose bones now lie far beneath a stepped pyramid outside the city. But tonight, that ancestor might visit. The nobles believed dreams weren't just personal, they were ancestral. They belonged to the lineage, passed down like heirlooms. You weren't just dreaming for yourself. You were dreaming on behalf of your family, your bloodline, your people. A dream could be a warning. A dream could be a prophecy. A dream, sometimes, could be a command. As you breathe deeper, you begin to hear them, not voices, exactly, but impressions, echoes. You're still within the sleeping chamber, but the walls stretch outward and dissolve into jungle. The night creatures have awakened, frogs clicking like stones, howler monkeys groaning in the trees. Somewhere far away, a jaguar growls, low and guttural, but closer, much closer, you hear the brush of feathers. A breeze moves the gauzy curtain at your bedside, and suddenly there's someone kneeling at your feet. He's not a servant. He's dressed in shimmering blue feathers, his face painted with symbols that seem to shift even as you try to focus. You realize with a start that this is no living man. This is a messenger from the gods, a dream walker. His role is to escort your sleeping spirit to the place where the stars and the ancestors meet. He does not speak. He merely gestures, and the ground beneath you softens, changes, becomes something new. You are walking again, but not with your body. Your breath moves through trees that aren't there, under a moon that shifts in color with each step. You are heading toward a pyramid made entirely of water, its surface rippling with constellations. You climb the watery steps, weightless. The jaguar appears again, this time as a companion, not a guardian. You rest your hand against its fur and feel it purr, deep and thunderous. It leads you up and up and up. Then something changes. A sudden scent, sharp and bitter, cuts through the dream. You are aware, for a brief flicker, of the cacao brew that lingers on your breath. You drank it before lying down, a thick, frothy mixture made from roasted cacao beans, chili, honey, and a powder derived from crushed leaves. The noble class believed this elixir could cleanse the mind and guide it toward clarity in the dream world. Some say it brought visions. Others say it just kept them warm on cool jungle nights. Historians still argue whether the mixture had true hallucinogenic properties or whether its effect was largely symbolic. Either way, you feel it working now. You stand at the top of the water pyramid. Below, the stars swirl like fireflies caught in glass. The dreamwalker gestures again, and the air around you becomes solid, filled with shapes, faces, stories, fragments of glyphs that shimmer and vanish. You realize these are not your dreams. These are dreams that have been dreamed before, repeated, remembered. They come to you like visitors returning to an old house familiar, but changed by time. You take a breath. The dreamkeeper's voice rises in the distance, chanting again. You don't know what the words mean, but the sound fills you with warmth. And then, gently, the water pyramid dissolves. The dreamwalker nods once. The jaguar disappears. You are back in the chamber. The stars above you are real again. The night has passed deeper into stillness. But you are not done yet. Your eyelids flutter but don't open. You're still halfway inside the dream, weightless, hovering between breath and memory. The jaguar's warmth has left your side, replaced by a hush that seems to hum inside your bones. The cool air brushes your skin, and for a moment, you wonder if you've truly returned to your bed in the noble chamber or if you've slipped into a deeper layer of the night. You sense movement again, but it's softer this time. Not footsteps, not voices, just the gentle sweep of fabric against stone, the faint rustle of feathers brushing air. A hand tugs the edge of your sleeping mat, not to wake you, but to prepare it for something sacred. You open your eyes just barely and see her. The dreamkeeper stands at the foot of your bed, now flanked by two attendants carrying wooden trays. One holds small bowls filled with red pigment and crushed obsidian dust. The other carries masks ornate, colorful, carved from wood and shell, and decorated with jade chips that shimmer even in darkness. You stay still as the ritual continues. The attendants begin placing the masks around you, forming a semicircle near the base of your platform bed. Each one is distinct a bat with flared ears and empty eyes, a celestial serpent with outstretched fangs, a rain god with spirals carved into his cheeks. These are not decorations. These are vessels' faces of the gods you may meet tonight in your dreams. To sleep among these masks is to place your spirit in the company of divine beings. According to Maya belief, these faces act as dream anchors. They allow the gods to enter your visions, not as abstract symbols, but as vivid presences. Their placement is no accident. Each mask is set according to the stars, to your family's day sign, to the sacred calendar that governs the cycles of time. The dreamkeeper leans close again. Her voice is quieter now. A mere breath, the gods are listening. She paints a small mark on your cheek with the red pigment, drawing a single spiral beneath your right eye. It represents the path of vision of dreaming with intention, a symbol often worn by the king himself during the sacred dream vigils. You let your body sink deeper into the furs, your breathing soft and even. The smoke in the room thickens, carrying a sharper edge now copal mixed with crushed herbs, possibly passion flower or wild tobacco. The blend is meant to ease the mind's resistance, to help the spirit let go of the waking world. A priest passes by outside the chamber, singing softly in a tone that rises and falls like waves. His chant is ancient, older than the city, perhaps older than the writing on the walls. It speaks to the lords of Xibalba, the underworld, and asks them to spare you any tricks tonight, to allow your soul to travel safely. The dreamkeeper places one final item at your bedside, a thin roll of bark paper wrapped in red cord. It is blank for now, but tomorrow, if your dream carries weight, it will be written on carefully, with ink made from soot and crushed berries by the court scribes. If the dream is deemed prophetic, it will be stored in the temple archives. This practice isn't theatrical, it's governance. The Maya took dreams seriously, especially those of nobles. A well-timed vision could change city policy, inspire a temple to be built, even lead to war. Dreams were messages, and the dreamkeeper's role was to help you receive them clearly, without interference from your own fears or ego. You feel the dream pulling again. Your body lies still, but your spirit stirs. You're walking through a hallway of stars, long and curving, its floor made of black obsidian, polished so smooth you can see yourself walking. But your reflection is odd. Your feet don't touch the ground. And your face, it isn't quite your own. It carries elements of someone older, someone whose name was whispered earlier. An ancestor, perhaps. Doors line the hallway, each carved with glyphs that flicker like candlelight. You reach out to touch one, and the door swings open with no resistance. Inside is a room without corners, just soft curves, glowing with a strange blue light. In the center sits a man in full regalia, with wide jade earrings and a feathered cape that shimmers like a river at dawn. He says nothing, but when he raises his hand, you understand this is a moment of reckoning. He gestures towards the floor, where scenes play out like painted murals. You see your family. You see decisions that haven't been made yet, paths that fork and twist like vines. You try to speak, but your voice doesn't carry. Instead, you kneel. He nods, and the room disappears. You awaken again, but not fully. Your eyes remain shut, but your awareness returns. The dream fades like ink in water, leaving only hints: the weight of the man's stare, the shape of his hand, the sense that something has been judged. the dreamkeeper is still present. You hear her voice again, this time not chanting, but reciting your name in slow syllables. She's calling you back, not harshly, but gently, like drawing someone out of a bath. A gourd is pressed to your lips. It contains a bitter liquid likely made from tree bark and honey. It's said to stabilize the soul after long dreaming. You sip it without protest. The taste is earthy, grounding. You feel yourself settling, your body becoming solid again. Then, something new, the chirp of night insects. They've grown louder, bolder. Morning is still distant, but the forest stirs slightly. The sacred hour of true dreaming is almost over. Before the dreamkeeper leaves, she makes one last gesture. She places her palm on your chest, just above the heart. A pause. A silent question. And when she removes it, she nods, satisfied. You've returned with something. What that something is, well, that will come with the sunrise. Your breath catches in your throat as the silence deepens. Not a silence of emptiness, but one filled with expectation, like the pause between lightning and thunder. You lie still on the jaguar pelt, your limbs relaxed, but your spirit remains alert. The masks at the foot of your bed seem to glow faintly in the moonlight, their carved eyes now watching, now waiting. This is the moment the dreamkeeper warned you about, the drifting space between one dream and the next. For the Maya nobles, sleep was not a single voyage, but a series of layered passages. You've walked the obsidian hallway. You've knelt before the ancestor. But the night is far from over. A new scent fills the room, richer, spicier. You recognize it, crushed allspice mixed with cocoa husk. A sacred blend. It was burned in royal chambers when significant visions were expected. Perhaps your dream carried weight, or perhaps the priests sensed that something more still lingered in your breath. The attendants return, barefoot and quiet as shadows. One carries a small dish holding thin red threads. The other holds a long wooden needle carved with intricate spirals. They approach you slowly, reverently, their movements like a dance that has been performed for centuries. You know what comes next. It's not painful, not in the way you might think, but it is strange. Ritual bloodletting, one of the most important rites in Maya noble sleep culture, was often performed before bed. Not to harm, not to punish, but to open the body, to let the spirit slip more easily into the dream world. The attendant pricks the pad of your thumb with the wooden needle. Just a single drop. It falls into the dish of red threads, soaking them slightly. These threads will be placed beneath your bed, near the mask of the bat god. The bat is a night traveler, a bridge between the living and the dead. The blood is an offering, a key to unlock the second passage of dreams. To modern eyes, this might seem extreme, but the Maya believed deeply in sacrifice as a form of connection. Blood was sacred, not because it caused pain, but because it held essence. To offer it in sleep meant you were truly willing to be visited by ancestors, by deities, by visions not your own. The attendants step back, and the dreamkeeper returns. This time, she carries a bowl of dark liquid, not to drink, to bathe. She dips a cloth in the bowl and gently wipes your hands, your face, the soles of your feet. The ritual is symbolic. It cleanses not dirt, but residue from dreams, from doubt, from the part of you that still clings to logic. This is a bath for the unseen self. She speaks softly as she works, recounting a story of a king who dreamed he was a tree. When he awoke, he ordered a temple built in the shape of his branches. His people called it the Temple of Wind. It still stands, they say, though no one remembers which king it honored. Only the dream remains. Your body grows heavier, your breath slow and warm. The chamber fades again, not in darkness, but in stillness. You're standing in a stone courtyard now. A fire burns in the center, ringed with glyphs etched into the ground. You are not alone. Around the fire are other dreamers, men and women in noble robes, faces half-painted, eyes closed. None speak, but all breathe in unison. One opens their eyes and looks at you. There is recognition not of you, but of what you carry. They rise and approach. In their hand is a thin blade made of obsidian. They draw it across their palm and press it to your chest. No pain, just warmth. And suddenly, the courtyard vanishes. You are beneath water again. This time, not the pyramid. A cenote deep and glowing with bluish light. You float effortlessly, your body light as air. Around you, the water ripples with tiny fish, flickering like stars. The cenote is sacred, a place where the veil between the worlds is thinnest. Offerings are made here, not of gold, but of memory. You hear a voice. It doesn't come from above or below. It comes from within your ribs. It is the voice of a woman, familiar, loving, sharp. She speaks one word. You don't know the meaning, but you feel it. The word sinks into you like a stone dropped into a lake. You sense it will rise again. Later, when the time is right, then darkness. The voice fades. The cenote dissolves. You return once more to your body. The masks are still there. The jaguar pelt still beneath you. The red thread now dry. The dreamkeeper kneels once more beside you, her expression unreadable. She places her hand on your forehead, then your sternum, then the center of your palm. 3 points, 3 doors. And then she nods, as if to say, you've traveled far enough. A rooster crows in the distance, the first, faint, uncertain. Morning is near. The dreamkeeper rises, whispering instructions to her attendants. They begin to gather the masks, the dishes, the ink-stained cloths. One reaches beneath your bed and carefully removes the bark paper scroll, the one left blank before you slept. She takes it to the corner of the room and places it before a small flame. Not to burn it, to warm it. It's said that the heat brings out the spirit of the dream, allowing the ink to flow more freely when it is written. She will not record your dream. That task belongs to the scribes. But she will note its presence, its depth, its quiet weight. She will tell them, later, that your spirit went to the cenote, that you were marked, that a word was spoken. You stir, your breath now awake. The dreamkeeper does not speak, but she smiles, just slightly. The fire outside the chamber crackles to life. A new day begins. The light of morning does not arrive all at once. It seeps in gently, filtering through the carved stone lattice and casting soft patterns across your resting form. You don't sit up. Not yet. You're somewhere between sleep and waking, still cradled by the afterglow of the dream. It lingers, not as a full memory, but as a feeling dense, calm, and heavy with meaning you haven't yet put into words. You blink slowly. The chamber is dim but warmer now. The dreamkeeper has gone, leaving behind a trail of incense still spiraling toward the ceiling. In her place stands a younger attendant, silent and barefoot, holding a folded cotton garment. You understand? The sleep ritual is over. And now comes the next phase, the reading of your dream. You sit up slowly. The jaguar pelts soft beneath your hands. Your body feels different, not exhausted, but used, like it has been carrying something precious and delicate through the night. You slip the cotton robe over your shoulders, and your attendant bows slightly before leading you out of the sleeping chamber. The hallway beyond is quiet, lined with low torches flickering against the stone. Outside, the courtyard bathes in soft gold, dew clinging to the petals of red hibiscus blooms. But your path is not toward the morning meal or the outer garden. Instead, you're led deeper into the compound, toward the chamber of scribes. This is where the Maya nobility came after significant dreams, visions, omens, ancestral encounters. Not every dream was recorded, only those deemed meaningful by the dream keeper, those deemed worthy of interpretation, and yours, well, your path through the obsidian corridor, the vision in the water, the ancestral voice it has already been marked. Inside the scribe's chamber, you find 3 men seated on woven mats. Each wears a robe dyed with deep indigo and bands of jade around their wrists. Their fingers are stained with ink. Each holds a stylus carved from bone, and their bark paper codices lie open before them, ink still drying on the most recent entries. One glances up and gestures for you to sit. No one speaks. Words come later. First comes the ritual. An acolyte approaches with a small bowl filled with white clay and rose water. With 2 fingers, he paints a spiral over your heart, then presses your thumb gently into a patch of powdered charcoal. You leave a print on a new scroll, your mark, proof that this dream belongs to you and no one else. The lead scribe begins. He asks not for your interpretation, but for your memory. What did you see who spoke? What shape did your breath take in the dream? You recount the voice in the sonnote, the masked figure, the ancestor in the hallway of stars. You speak slowly, knowing each word may become ink on the page. The scribes nod occasionally, never interrupting. One of them murmurs, "This one carries weight." Another adds a line beside your name, Kawil, Aja Night-born Noble, a title not permanent, but symbolic. It will remain beside your name until your next dream fails to reach such depths. As they write, you notice something strange but beautiful. Each glyph they etch curves into the next, flowing like water across the paper. The dream is not a sequence of events. It's a story meant to be sung by ink. One scribe stops to blow gently on the wet characters, then adds a small drawing beneath the final glyph, a jaguar, sleeping beneath a star. It is your dream to keep now, captured not in memory, but in art. You bow slightly in thanks. There is no applause, no congratulations, only a stillness that wraps around the moment like silk. These dreams aren't accomplishments. They are responsibilities. As you leave the scribe's chamber, you notice others arriving nobles in soft sandals, eyes still fogged with sleep. Some carry tokens, feathers, bits of charcoal, tiny stones, offerings, or perhaps remnants of their own dreams. You wonder which of them heard voices, which of them wandered corridors lined with gods. Your attendant leads you into the morning garden. Here, a new ritual awaits, not one of smoke or ink, but of food. A mat is laid out beneath a tall ceiba tree, its branches stretching wide like arms of a cosmic mother. You're invited to sit, and a small bowl of thick maize porridge is placed before you, flavored with honey and a pinch of chili. This breakfast is more than nourishment, it's a tether, something to anchor your spirit back to the physical world. After a night of travel through dream realms, even the simplest flavors hold power. You eat slowly, savoring each bite. A steaming gourd of atoll follows warm, soothing, rich with roasted cacao. It brings your breath back into rhythm, your shoulders ease. The world sharpens, gently. Across the garden, you spot the dreamkeeper again. She is walking alone among the herbs, plucking leaves and murmuring to herself. She does not look at you, but as she passes a stone altar, she leaves behind a small, folded cloth, perhaps a charm for protection, or a blessing to seal the vision you received. It said that the dreamkeeper does not sleep on the nights she guides others. Instead, she waits beside their chambers, listening not just with ears, but with spirit. She hears the flutter of gods, the whisper of dreams, the change in breath that marks a sacred encounter. Historians still argue whether the Maya dreams truly shaped royal policy, or if the rituals were more theatrical than practical. But even modern scholars agree this civilization held dreaming in deep regard. They recorded it, protected it, honored it as a portal to truth. You finish your meal and rise, lighter than when you arrived. Something has shifted, not in your body, but in the quiet space behind your eyes. The sun is higher now. The masks have been returned to their shelves, the jaguar pelt folded, the bowl of ink emptied, but the dream remains, carried with you like a quiet ember beneath your ribs. And tomorrow, perhaps, you will dream again. The rest of the day unfolds like a calm river, smooth and deliberate. You are not expected to labor or engage in the usual affairs of noble life. Today, you are a dreamer respected, but also distant. It's understood that your mind still lingers somewhere between this world and the one you visited last night. You spend the late morning beneath a stone archway shaded with woven reeds. The breeze moves through the corridors of the palace compound, carrying the soft scents of wild marigold and warm limestone. Distant voices echo, but none call for you. This quiet is earned. As you rest, another figure approaches the temple archivist. He's tall and narrow-shouldered, with hair tightly bound and robes marked with the red and black pattern reserved for record keepers. He doesn't bow, but he does offer you a folded scroll wrapped in jade-green thread. You open it slowly, knowing already what it is. Your dream, transcribed, ink still fresh in places. The jaguar drawing, the ancestor glyph, and right beneath your name the word chul, sacred. That word is never written lightly. The archivist speaks only once. Your dream will be stored beneath the temple of the north sky. It will sleep alongside the visions of kings. He does not wait for thanks. He simply turns and walks away, scrolls in hand, vanishing through a sunlit corridor. You watch him go, that single word still echoing in your mind. Chul, a designation not of status, but of presence. It means that something, or someone, was truly there with you. In Maya belief, not all dreams carried divine substance. Many were simply reflections of daily life, confused echoes of thought and memory. But every so often, a dream would hum with a certain texture, a spiritual density, as though it had weight. That's what chul signified, a holy echo. You are escorted, later, to the Temple of Masks. It's not the tallest structure in the city, nor the most elaborate, but its walls are lined with hundreds of carved faces, each mask representing a noble who once dreamed something too important to be forgotten. The attendant leaves you at the entrance. You step inside alone. The air within is cool and damp, heavy with age. You can hear your footsteps echo against the stone. Small pools of light fall through carved vents above, creating spots of warmth on the otherwise shadowed floor. You pass the masks slowly, studying each one. A woman with wide-set eyes and a snake woven into her hair. A man with half his face carved like a skull, the other half smiling faintly. Some masks are beautiful, others are disturbing. All are sacred. These are not memorials to the dead. They are tributes to those who dreamed with courage. It was said that when the wind blew through this chamber at night, the masks whispered their dreams into the silence, hoping someone might hear them again. You reach the final wall, where empty spaces remain places for future masks. You wonder if one day yours might join them. Before you leave, you stop at a small basin filled with water dyed dark with crushed flower petals. You're told to cup your hands, dip into the basin, and lift the water to your lips. Not to drink, but to breathe. Inhale the floral vapor and exhale slowly. It's a symbolic act, representing the return of your soul fully to the world of the living. And so you do. The scent is strong hibiscus, cacao flower, and something sharper, like green pine. It stirs you fully awake. The final trace of the dream world fades from your limbs. Outside, the day has grown brighter. Children chase one another across the outer courtyard, their laughter sharp and clear. Merchants arrange maize cakes and feathers in orderly rows. The world continues, but you are not quite the same. By early afternoon, you are guided to the Hall of Glyphs for the reading of the stars. This is not a daily ritual, but one that follows a prophetic dream. The high priest has asked to compare your vision against the movements of the heavens. He meets you in a high chamber open to the sky. On the stone floor is the sacred calendar, circular, enormous, divided into radial arms that pulse outward like the ribs of time. The priest, draped in turquoise and gold, stands at the center, hands clasped. Your dream came on the night of the crocodile, he says. The last time this alignment occurred, a river dried in a single day, and a new city was founded near the empty riverbed. The gods reshape their paths when crocodile watches. He leads you to the edge of the circle. And what did the voice say? You pause. The single word from the sonata returns to your memory, not loud, not certain, but insistent. You speak it aloud. The priest closes his eyes, nods. I've heard this word once before. He murmurs, 100 nights ago, spoken by a king who dreamed of a house made of air. He died weeks later, but not in sorrow. He passed smiling. You do not know what this means for you. No one can say. But the priest touches your shoulder and says, you may return here at the next eclipse. That will be your dream night. Dream nights. The Maya believed that each noble had particular nights marked by their birth glyph, the moon's phase, and the positioning of Venus when their dreams could speak loudest. These nights were celebrated quietly, with private ceremonies and silent offerings. You never chose your dream night. It chose you. As the sun begins to set, you return to your chamber. The bed has been reset, the jaguar pelt replaced. A single white feather lies where your head will rest tonight. You know now the dream is not over. It simply pauses. And when night returns, the gods may visit again. Evening approaches like a slow breath, soft, deliberate, and full of memory. The heat of the day lifts from the stone paths, and the scent of wood smoke drifts once again through the palace. You return to the sleeping chamber, not because you're tired, but because something calls you there, a quiet pull, as if the room remembers your dream and waits to see what you'll bring back next. The white feather still lies on the mat. Its meaning isn't spoken aloud, but everyone knows. A feather is a message from the gods of the air, especially Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god of wind, sky, and renewal. It can mean approval, invitation, or warning, which it means tonight. No one says, but its presence is never by accident. You sit cross-legged beside it, letting your fingers graze the edges of the mat. The jaguar pelt has been brushed smooth. A new mask has been placed beside your bedding, one you've not seen before. It's simpler than the others. A smooth, rounded face carved from dark wood, with no decoration save for a single glyph etched at the brow, ik, the symbol for wind or breath. You breathe in deeply and feel something shift. It isn't fear. It's not even curiosity. It's recognition. As if this night this mask, this breath, it all belongs to you already, written long before in a calendar only the stars can read. The dreamkeeper enters quietly. Tonight, she carries no oil, no bundle of bones or thread. Instead, she brings a folded cloth of soft cotton and places it gently in your lap. Tonight, you sleep without the weight, she says, her voice like water over stone. No incense, no masks to guard the dream's edge. Only you and the wind. You nod. There is no need for ritual tonight. Or perhaps tonight is the ritual. As the sky outside deepens to indigo, you lie down again, facing the stars. They're in a different arrangement now than the night before. The constellations have shifted slightly, nothing obvious, but enough to mark a new path for the spirit. And still, that feather waits beside you. You close your eyes. No chanting tonight, no drums, just silence, and the hush of your own breath moving in and out like waves against the shore. Your body slips into sleep, not as a fall, but as a glide slow and smooth. You're back in the jungle. But it's different now. The trees have thinned. The air is crisper. The dream no longer feels like a descent, it's an ascent. The sky presses close, not far above your head, and you feel light, untethered. You follow a narrow path lined with stones. Each one bears a glyph, some familiar, others foreign. As you pass, they shimmer softly and vanish behind you. This dream feels clean, like a page not yet written. There is no ancestor waiting, no voice in the shadows, just you and the wind. A soft rustle breaks the stillness. You turn. There stands a boy, small, barefoot, eyes wide with wonder. His tunic is made of plain cloth, and his hair is tied back with a strip of blue cotton. He holds no weapon, no charm, only a small flute carved from bone. He tilts his head, smiles, and begins to play. The sound is simple, just a few notes repeated. But it fills the air, weaving itself into the leaves, the path, your very breath. It feels like a memory, but not yours. A borrowed feeling, a dream within a dream. You follow him. He doesn't lead you far, just to a stone ledge overlooking a vast valley filled with golden light. You can't see the sun, but the light pulses. Warm and alive, birds circle below, and wind lifts your hair gently from your face. The boy points to the valley. "This is what they dreamed before you," he says, and his voice is soft but certain. You squint. Shapes begin to form in the light. You see people dancing, building, laughing. Some are planting maize. Others are sitting in a circle, telling stories. One carves a mask. Another weaves a feather into a child's hair. It is not a vision of grandeur. It is a vision of peace. You turn to ask the boy who they are, who he is, but he's already walking away, back into the trees. Flute tucked beneath his arm. You feel no fear, just a quiet certainty that you'll see him again. The light fades, the path vanishes, you wake. But this time, you do not rise. You lie still, feeling the texture of the mat beneath your fingertips. The feather has moved, it now rests beside your hand, as though placed there during the night. The Ike mask has been turned to face you. You sit up slowly. The room is empty. Outside, the first birds call to the coming dawn. You dress in silence and step into the courtyard, where the air still holds the coolness of night. The sky is lighter now, a soft, powdery blue stretching above the temple roofs. The dreamkeeper waits for you beside a shallow stone basin filled with water. She gestures for you to kneel. This time, she says, you will not speak your dream. You will breathe it. You close your eyes. Inhale slowly. Let the breath fill you. Then exhale gently over the water. The surface ripples. She nods. Some dreams are not meant to be translated. They are not for ink or scrolls or priests. Some are only for the spirit to remember soft and silent, tucked behind the heart like a feather folded into cloth. You rise. The day has begun again. But something is different. Not outside. Within. And somewhere far above, in the slow-moving sky. The stars shift again. Later that morning, as the sun begins its gentle climb, the palace awakens in full. But you, still quiet inside from the weight of the dream, walk softly through the shaded corridors, as if your steps might echo too loudly in the waking world. You carry something invisible now, not heavy, but undeniable, like mist on your shoulders, or a song you can't quite hum. You pass by a group of scribes seated cross-legged in the inner courtyard. They're bent over codices, painting new glyphs with sharpened reeds and steady hands. One of them looks up as you approach. He nods. Nothing more. But in that glance is a recognition. Quiet and mutual. Dreamers know each other, even in silence. Your attendant meets you at the corner of the courtyard. She doesn't speak either, only gestures for you to follow. She carries no bowl, no scroll, no robe, only a small, folded bundle of palm leaves tied with a single white thread. You wonder what message is wrapped inside. But you don't ask. Some things in this world are not meant to be opened. Today is not like yesterday. You are not being taken to the Temple of Glyphs or the Hall of Masks. Instead, your path leads outside the palace complex, past the stone archways, and into the village roads beyond. Here, the stone gives way to packed earth, and children run barefoot beside sleeping dogs. Their laughter rings sharp and bright under the growing sun. No one bows, no one stares, but they watch, just long enough to wonder what brings a dreamer here. The attendant turns down a narrow path shaded by tall maize stalks, leading to a circular structure with a reed roof and clay walls. An elder waits outside, seated on a low stool carved with feathered serpents. Her back is slightly bent, but her gaze is sharp like the edge of a shell polished by decades of ocean tide. This is the dream interpreter of the outer community, not part of the priesthood, not bound by royal ceremony but respected in equal measure. The people call her Ix no Yue, which means she who sees when eyes are closed. She rises slowly and gestures for you to sit across from her on a woven mat. The palm bundle is placed between you, untouched. She regards it, then looks at you not with challenge, but with careful curiosity. "You dreamed with breath last night," she says, voice dry and even, "and the feather stayed. You nod. You carry something now, but it is not just yours." You want to ask what she means, but something about her tone, her presence, urges stillness, so instead, you wait. She begins to hum, low at first, barely audible, like a memory trying to find its shape. As she hums, she unties the palm bundle. Inside a handful of items, a red seed, a shard of jade, a feather marked with black and yellow stripes, a thread knotted in the middle, and a stone. She arranges them carefully on a piece of cloth. Then she places the stone in your palm. "Tell me where it led you." And you do. You speak of the flute-playing boy, the valley filled with light, the quiet joy of the people below, the faces of the dancers, the farmers, the mask carvers, the storytellers. You describe the stillness of it, not just peace, but purpose, a vision not of war or glory, but of continuation, life moving forward with grace. When you finish, the old woman touches the black and yellow feather and nods slowly. "That dream was not a message. It was a memory," she says. "And it did not come from you. It came through you. You're silent." She leans closer. "There are dreams that show what may come. Others show what has been. But some very few are reminders, carried by wind, born in the breath of the gods, delivered into the hearts of those who still listen. You glance down at the stone in your palm. It is warm now. She gathers the items and wraps them back into the cloth, ties the thread, hands the bundle to you. Keep this, not to open, just to carry. You take it with both hands. She rises, slowly, gently, like a leaf releasing itself from a branch. She does not bless you. She does not say goodbye. But as you walk away, you feel her gaze on your back, watching until the maze closes behind you. That afternoon, you return to the palace. The sky is wide and blue. The air carries no scent of incense or smoke. Everything seems ordinary. But you are not. You pass by a group of young initiates learning to read the sacred calendar. Their teacher, a middle-aged priest with a sun-darkened face, points to one of the glyphs etched into the stone. This, he says, marks a dream night. You pause. The glyph is familiar. It's Ike Wind. You step closer. The priest notices you and bows his head slightly. A strong sign, he says. Those born under Ick often carry dreams meant for others. You don't reply. But inside, something steadies. Not everything needs to be understood to be accepted. You return to your chamber. The mat is freshly laid. The mask of Ick is gone. In its place is nothing, just the space where it once rested. But you don't feel its absence. You feel its imprint. You set the palm bundle beside your pillow, the thread still knotted, the wrapping still tight. You won't open it. You don't need to. Outside, the wind picks up. It moves through the lattice window and lifts the edge of your sleeping cloth. It does not feel like coincidence. That night, no ceremony awaits you, no dreamkeeper visits, no priest recites your name beneath the stars. The chamber is yours alone, silent and still, untouched by oil or ink. You lie on your mat, the breeze slipping in from the window, gentle and constant. The palm bundle rests near your pillow. You touch it once before lying down, not to open, not to question, only to acknowledge. Its presence has become part of the ritual now, even in stillness. You close your eyes, and sleep comes quietly. But tonight, there is no corridor, no cenote, no flute. Instead, you dream of walking through a field of tall grass. The stalks whisper against your arms, and the sky above is low and darkening, a deep violet that seems to pulse in time with your steps. There are no stars, only the wind. It's not cold, not warm, just even balanced. You walk for a long time. Then, suddenly, you're no longer walking. You're sitting, knees folded, in a round structure, walls woven from reeds. A fire smolders at the center, sending thin ribbons of smoke upward through an open roof. Around you sit 6 figures, each wearing a mask, each silent. You recognize none of them, and yet you don't feel fear. One turns toward you, slowly. Their mask is carved from smooth black stone, featureless except for a single vertical slit at the mouth. No eyes, no nose, just that one opening. A voice emerges, low and soft, genderless, ancient. You were not chosen for clarity. It says, you were chosen for recall. The others nod, still silent. The voice continues. There will come a time when the wind forgets, when even the trees grow quiet. Then, you must remember. You try to ask what must be remembered, but the question dies before reaching your lips. Instead, the masked figure reaches toward you and places something in your hands. You look down. It is a jaguar mask, but smaller, simpler, meant not for wearing, but for holding. Its teeth are curled, but not in a snarl. Its eyes are closed. You raise your gaze again, but the figures are gone. So is the fire, the hut, the reeds, all of it. You stand alone in a wide, dark field. The wind picks up. You wake. It is still night. The room is cool, and moonlight pools on the stone floor. You don't move, not yet. The image of the mask still lingers in your mind. Heavy, calm, complete. You breathe slowly, evenly. Outside the window, a faint flutter catches your attention. You rise and walk softly to the edge of the chamber. There, on the stone ledge, lies a feather. Not the white one from the night before. This one is different longer, banded in dark brown and silver. You reach for it. As your fingers brush the shaft, the wind stirs again, curling gently around your wrist, lifting the edge of your sleeve. You take the feather and return to your mat. Beside the palm bundle, you place it carefully, letting it rest across the cloth like a seal. And though the dreamkeeper hasn't returned, you feel watched not with suspicion, but with care, as if someone, somewhere is listening. You lie back, eyes open, studying the ceiling's shadowed beams. You don't fall asleep again. You rest in that space between sleep and wakefulness, the soft, sacred stillness where meaning settles. By the time dawn breaks, you are still lying there, still breathing, waiting. And when the first light spills across the mat, warming your face and hands, you rise with no urgency. Your body feels heavier than usual, but not tired, anchored. You gather the feather and the bundle and place them into a small pouch, a gift left by your attendant sometime in the night. The pouch is made of soft woven fiber, dyed with indigo and embroidered with 3 lines stitched in red, 1 vertical, 2 crossing at the center. The sign of 3 paths meeting, the symbol of convergence. After dressing, you step into the courtyard. The sun is only just rising above the jungle canopy, casting long shadows against the temple walls. The dreamkeeper is there, crouched beside a bowl of fresh herbs. She does not turn when you approach. Instead, she speaks softly, as if she already knows. "Some dreams come back," she says, grinding a stem of lemongrass between her fingers. "They travel in circles, like wind across water. And each time, they bring something new. You say nothing, but you do open the pouch and show her the feather. She doesn't touch it, only looks. And then, quietly, it's time you speak with the star diviner. Your pulse quickens. The star diviner is not a priest, not a scribe. He is older than most here. A man said to see patterns not just in the stars above, but in the movements of breath, stone, and time. He lives at the edge of the temple city, where the jungle begins to reclaim the stone. The dreamkeeper gives you a small talisman, a carved shell bound with twine. It bears the glyph for wind, etched with tiny strokes. He'll know why you've come. You leave by foot. The path to the star diviner's house is overgrown, narrow and shaded. Vines hang low. The hum of insects grows louder the deeper you go. And then, the forest clears. The house is simple, a circle of stone, no roof. In the center sits a man, white-haired, draped in a cloak of woven feathers. He is tracing symbols into the dirt with a stick. He looks up as you approach. "Ah," he says, "you've brought the feather. You kneel." And he smiles not widely, but with deep satisfaction. Let's begin. You kneel across from the star diviner, the jungle light filtering through the canopy above, dappling the circle of earth with patches of gold. He says nothing for a long time. His fingers move with slow intention, drawing and redrawing glyphs in the soil spirals, dots, crosses, stars. His lips move silently, as if reciting names only the sky remembers. The carved feather pouch rests in your lap. The banded feather and palm-wrapped bundle remain inside, undisturbed. But you feel their presence. The weight of them is not physical. It's memory, a message not yet spoken. Finally, the star diviner speaks. His voice is not frail, though his body is old. It carries the calm authority of someone who has watched many seasons pass and forgotten none of them. You've been walking the borderlands, he says, between the breath of men and the sleep of gods. That is not a place one visits for long. You nod, slowly. You understand, though you don't know how. He leans forward, drawing a final glyph between you both, the symbol for Kat, the net. In dreams, he says, we are all caught in something, a pattern, a purpose, a thread spun long before our first breath. He places a smooth stone in the center of the net glyph. The question is not whether you're caught, it is whether you are aware. He gestures for you to open the pouch. You do. First, you remove the feather, long and banded, its colors gleaming even in the muted light. The diviner studies it but doesn't touch. Then, with steady hands, you unwrap the palm bundle. The contents have not changed: the red seed, the jade shard, the black and yellow feather, the knotted thread, and the smooth stone. You lay them out before him, just as the outer village dream interpreter had done. He picks up the red seed first. Life, he murmurs, or sacrifice, depending on when it falls. Then the jade shard, breath of the gods, shaped by water and time. He does not touch the feather, only looks. The one who carried this knew silence well. The knotted thread, the tension between paths, and finally, the stone. He closes his eyes, resting both palms flat on the earth. Then he speaks not to you, but to the sky. Ixkanitsamna, let this vision rise. The words are soft, almost like a lullaby. Let the child of wind and echo remember what the stars have written. You feel the air shift. The birds stop singing. The leaves hush. He opens his eyes. You dreamed not just for yourself, he says. The vision of the valley, the light, the figures living in peace, these are not only memories of what once was, they are warnings of what could be lost. You stay silent, listening. He traces a new symbol beside the net, a simple, vertical line flanked by two circles, the glyph for Nohal, the south. In Maya cosmology, the south was not merely a direction, it was a realm of memory, rootedness, and ancestral presence. The dreams are circling the south again. He continues, and you, wind-born, are being asked to carry them north, to the place of sky. You don't fully understand, but your breath catches. The diviner leans closer. Have you noticed how often the wind finds you now? How it moves when you speak or sleep? You nod. It's not a sign, he says. It's a response. He rises slowly, bones creaking like the branches above, and gestures for you to stand. The feather you carry must now be offered, not kept, not sealed. The wind must be given something in return. You follow him as he leads you beyond the circle, through a narrow path flanked by stone columns half swallowed by vines. Eventually, the forest opens into a small clearing. At its center stands a single stone altar, worn smooth by rain and time. Moss grows in the glyphs carved across its sides. You recognize some ik, chul, kat, breath, sacred, net. He places the stone you brought on the altar, then gestures to you. You step forward. In your hands, the feather trembles slightly, not from your touch, but from the breeze now curling gently through the clearing. The wind has found you again. You place the feather beside the stone. Just as your fingers lift away, the breeze strengthens enough to rustle the leaves, to whistle softly through the trees. The diviner speaks. You have returned the breath. Now listen. The wind quiets. For a moment, there is nothing. And then you feel it, Not a sound, not a vision, a pull from deep within your ribs, as though something long curled within you had just uncoiled. You inhale, and a single word floats to the surface of your mind. Not spoken, not written, known. You don't say it aloud. You don't need to. The diviner nods. Now you carry it. You turn to him. What do I do with it? His face softens. Wait. When the wind brings you to the right ears, you will know. He returns to his circle of dirt and glyphs without another word. You walk the path back in silence, the feather now left behind, but its meaning still wrapped tightly within your chest. That night, you do not sleep in the noble chamber. You ask to rest beneath the stars, beside the southern wall of the palace. A mat is laid for you. No incense, no masks, no chanting, only the open sky and the wind. You lie beneath the open sky, the warm breath of night air brushing your cheeks as if the wind itself is watching over you. The stars look different from here, not just brighter, but closer, as though you could reach up and press your hand against the dark velvet and feel them pulse like the hearts of gods. The mat beneath you is cool, woven from reeds that smell faintly of river water. You chose this place intentionally, not the comfort of the noble chamber, not the sacred hush of the temple quarters, but here, where the southern wall meets the untamed edge of the city, where stone gives way to root and vine. You don't close your eyes right away. You lie still, looking upward, letting the sounds of the night settle over you like a second blanket. Crickets pulse in the underbrush. A distant drum beats from the far side of the compound, a signal, perhaps, or a ceremony you are not meant to join. But the rhythm is familiar. It reminds you of your breath during that first dream, slow and deliberate. You breathe in, you breathe out. The word you received earlier that day, the one that rose unspoken from the altar when you offered the feather, it hasn't left you. It moves through your chest like wind through reeds. Not a thought, a presence. You still don't understand it, but you recognize it, in the way you recognize someone you've seen in a dream long ago. Tonight, there is no dreamkeeper, no ceremony. You sleep without witness, and yet you are not alone. As your eyes grow heavy, you hear it again, soft at first, then steady, the faint sound of a flute. Not a loud call, not a performance, just a thread of notes weaving through the trees like mist. You don't need to look to know who it is. Somewhere, just beyond your line of sight. The boy with the flute waits, not for you to follow, but simply to let you know he is there. You drift into sleep with the melody curled gently around your ears. In the dream, you stand in a field once again. But this time, it is dusk. The grass glows with a golden edge, each blade catching the last of the sun's warmth. Ahead, a path unfolds not straight, but curving, winding through a forest of stone pillars. Each pillar is carved with glyphs that shimmer faintly as you pass. You recognize some. Others feel like memories you haven't earned yet. The path leads to a shallow pool, clear and round, nestled in the heart of the forest. It reflects the sky above, though no stars are visible. Only clouds, rolling, soft, shifting with color like the inside of a seashell. You kneel at the edge of the pool. The surface ripples not from your movement, but from within. A figure takes shape across from you. It is not the boy this time. It is a woman. She wears no mask. Her face is calm, her eyes deep and steady. Her hair is bound with a cord of twisted reed and obsidian, and she wears a robe the color of smoke. She doesn't speak right away. She waits. Watching you. You do the same. Finally, she lifts one hand and places it over her heart. You mirror the gesture. I have waited many winds for you, she says. Her voice is quiet but clear, like water poured into a still bowl. Not because you are special, but because you are still. Still, it strikes you like the word from the altar, not a compliment, a quality, a necessity. Others chase their dreams. She continues. You listened to yours. You ask without sound what she wants of you. Her reply is gentle. Nothing. And then, everything. She reaches into the water between you and lifts a stone. It is shaped like a heart, but imperfect rough on one side, smooth on the other. She places it beside the pool, and it doesn't vanish. You understand this dream will not fade? Not like the others. This one remains. You wake at dawn. The sky above you is streaked with soft pinks and blues. The stars have gone. The flute is silent. You rise slowly, the mat crackling beneath your knees as you fold it. Beside you, on the stone ledge where the wall meets the earth, something gleams, a small, round stone, smooth on one side, rough on the other. You pick it up and turn it in your palm. It is warm from the sun already. You carry it with you into the compound, not hidden, not displayed, just held. The scribes are waiting. Not because they were summoned, but because the glyphs in the calendar showed today as a day for recording. When they ask you what you saw, you pause. And for the first time, you don't recount the dream. You place the stone in their hands instead. Write this, you say. But not for the archives, for the people. The lead scribe tilts his head. What name shall we give it? You think for a moment. Then answer, the dream of stillness. They nod, begin to write. By midday, the stone is placed in a small niche in the temple wall. No ceremony, no announcement. But anyone who passes by can stop and touch it, and many do. They do not know your dream, but they feel its shape, its echo, its weight. That night when you sleep, there are no visions, just rest, full, unbroken, deep, and when the wind rises again, sometime near midnight, you do not wake, you only smile. The days that follow feel different, not louder, not busier, but deeper. You walk through the palace grounds and temple courtyards with the same rhythm as before. Yet every sound, every breeze, every pattern in the dirt seems to carry more weight, more quiet meaning. The dream of stillness has not left you. It moves with you, tucked just behind your breath. You notice people begin to pause when you pass, not out of deference or awe, but curiosity. Quiet nods, glances that linger just a second longer than they used to. A potter offers you a gourd without asking your name. A child hands you a folded flower as you walk beneath the ceiba tree. Even the priests seem softer in your presence, as if they sense what you carry now, a dream not recorded in symbols alone, but in gesture, in presence, in the spaces between words. The stone from your dream remains in its place, set within the southern wall of the temple. People touch it gently as they walk by. No one speaks of it. No one explains it. But each day, you notice a few new offerings near the base twigs tied with red thread. Feathers, flowers with still damp stems, even a small piece of bread. Tiny signs that others have begun to dream more attentively too. One afternoon, as the sun dips low and the shadows stretch long across the courtyard, the dreamkeeper joins you beside the temple steps. She sits without invitation, without ceremony, pulling her shawl tight around her shoulders. She does not look at you, only the horizon. You've changed the wind, she says simply. You turn toward her, surprised. I've only followed it. She nods. And that is what changed it. You sit together in silence. Eventually, she asks, have you dreamed since the stone? You shake your head. Only rest. She hums thoughtfully, then says, Then you are ready, for what she smiles faintly, to dream for others. You feel the words settle into your chest like river stones. That evening, a messenger arrives just as the sky turns violet. He wears a woven sash marked with the glyph for movement, and his face is tense with travel. You meet him beneath the outer archway. He does not speak right away. Instead, he holds out a folded strip of bark paper, sealed with pressed clay. You break the seal and read the glyphs within. The request is brief but clear. A nearby village one once allied closely with the temple city has sent word of a troubling dream. A young girl, barely old enough to speak in full sentences, has been waking each night from visions of water rising too high, of birds flying away and never returning. The villagers are unsettled. They've sent for someone to listen, someone who dreams. You leave before sunrise. 2 attendants walk with you, carrying nothing but water and simple food wrapped in leaves. The journey takes most of the day past stone shrines half covered in vines, across hanging bridges suspended over slow, dark rivers, through cool jungle paths that narrow until the light itself feels sacred. When you arrive, the village is quiet. Children peep from behind doorways. Elders sit on mats near the fire pit, faces lined with weariness. The chief, a woman with a voice like crushed corn husks, greets you with a bow so low her forehead touches the ground. The child is waiting. She sits near the roots of a large tree, barefoot and alert, eyes far older than her years. She says nothing as you approach, only watches. You kneel before her and hold out your hand. After a pause, she places her small fingers in yours. Her touch is steady, not fearful. She does not need comfort. She needs to be heard. Later that night, they prepare a mat for you beside her home. No altar, no incense, no chants, just the breeze through palm fronds and the soft breathing of a village waiting for peace. You sleep beneath the stars again. This time, the dream comes quickly. You're in a canoe, floating through flooded streets, not of the village, but of the city, the temple, the glyph walls, the courtyards all submerged. You drift past submerged altars, past floating bundles of woven offerings, past masks bobbing on the water's surface like forgotten faces. Above you, the sky is blank, no stars, no wind. A bird flies past, then another, then none. You reach out your hand and touch the water. It is warm, too warm, and then, just beyond a crumbling stairway rising from the depths, you see the girl. She stands barefoot on a half-submerged glyph stone, watching you. She points upward. You look. The sky cracks, not with light, but with silence. You wake. The child is sitting near you. She does not speak. She only nods once. The village wakes slowly. You sit with the elders and explain, not in panic, not in fear. You describe the water, the missing birds, the silence in the sky. They listen. One elder speaks. "We have felled too many trees," he says, "taken too much from the river's edge." Another adds, "The birds leave because there is nothing left to feed them." You say nothing. They nod in agreement, already knowing, already choosing to act. The dream did not reveal the unknown. It reminded them of what had been ignored. You leave the village that afternoon. As you pass the child again, she steps forward and presses something into your palm. A small stone, smooth and round, rough on one side. You recognize it immediately, but you say nothing. You only bow and walk on. You return to the temple city just as dusk begins to spread its soft purple hue across the sky. The air feels heavier now, damp with the promise of coming rain. Your feet are coated in dust, your robe lined with the scent of distant wood smoke and crushed leaves. Yet your mind feels clearer than it has in days. In your hand, you still carry the small stone the child gave you. It remains warm, as if holding the last breath of the dream inside it. You do not place it in the pouch with the others. You do not offer it to the scribes. This one is not for documentation. This one is for remembering. When you reach the temple gates, the dreamkeeper is waiting beneath the arch, as if she knew exactly when you'd arrive. She watches you approach without surprise, her eyes calm and unreadable. She notices the stone in your palm, but does not reach for it. Instead, she asks simply, "Was she heard?" "She was," you answer, "and the elders they knew before I spoke." You say, but the dream gave them permission to listen. The dreamkeeper exhales slowly, a soft breath that carries something like relief. "Good," she murmurs. Then it traveled well. That night, no dreams come. You sleep in the noble chamber again, alone but not lonely. There is no mask at your bedside, no feather, no smoke, just the faint echo of river frogs calling from beyond the city walls and the memory of the child's steady gaze. In the morning, you rise before the sun and visit the stone embedded in the southern wall, the one from your earlier dream, the dream of stillness. You find that someone has placed a sprig of wild basil at its base. A second small stone rests nearby, smooth and gray. You smile, but do not touch them. The rest of the day unfolds quietly. The scribes write, the priests perform their rituals. The scent of cooking maize drifts through the air, and yet you sense something approaching, not an event, not a person, but a moment like a gate slowly opening. It arrives on the third night. You are woken by a whisper, not a voice, not a sound, a sensation like a word brushed across your skin, too soft to decipher but too precise to ignore. You sit up in the dark, heart quiet but alert. The room is shadowed in blue, moonlight filtering through the lattice. There is someone at your door, a young woman dressed in the robe of a novice priestess. She bows and speaks with urgency, though her voice never rises. "They have summoned the dreamers," she says. "All of them." You follow her through the moonlit halls, past the sleeping quarters, past the courtyards, past the temple chambers where stone guardians watch with timeless stares. In the great plaza, a small circle has gathered. Dreamkeepers, temple scribes, 2 elders you recognize from your earliest days of training, and others like you dreamers, young and old, their faces marked not by ceremony but by a certain stillness in their gaze. You see one man holding a cord marked with ick. Another woman wears a pendant shaped like a closed eye. You realize how many have been walking this path quietly, without being seen. At the center of the circle stands the high priest, robes trailing like shadows, a torch in one hand. He gestures for silence, though no one is speaking. He addresses the dreamers directly. "The sky shifts again," he says. "The stars move out of sequence. The calendar no longer aligns with the winds. Dreams are arriving early, or late, or not at all." He looks around the circle. His voice remains soft, but each word lands with weight. Something is coming, and the gods speak less clearly than they once did. We are asking for help. There is no murmuring, no resistance. Every dreamer listens. He turns to a large slab set upright in the earth, smooth and blank. "This will be the wall of wind," he says. "Each of you will offer one dream, one vision, not of what has been, but of what could come." He does not mean predictions. He means direction. A shared compass, carved not from stone, but from sleep. You are the third to step forward. You close your eyes. And without speaking, without recalling any full vision, you place your hand on the blank stone and breathe. What rises is not a single image. It is a rhythm, a feeling, a field of tall grass, a flute in the distance, a child pointing skyward. You press your palm firmly against the stone. When you lift it, a faint spiral has formed in the surface, etched by a force beyond your hand. It shimmers for just a second before settling into permanence. When all have given their offering, the high priest speaks again. From this wall, we will guide, not command, not instruct, but guide. These dreams are not answers, they are openings. You nod, you understand. And when the gathering disperses, you linger a moment longer, tracing your finger over the spiral. You think of the girl and the flood, of the mask of stillness, of the voice that said you had been chosen not for clarity, but for recall. Now, you are beginning to see the shape of that purpose. Later, as you walk back toward your chamber, the wind stirs the hem of your robe, not a strong gust, just a nudge, like a whisper reminding you I'm still here. And you smile, because you are still here too. Morning returns in layers first, the soft rustling of birds waking in the high trees, then the scent of warm maize and ground cacao rising from the lower kitchens, and finally, the golden hush of sunlight sliding across the stone. You open your eyes slowly, the dream of the night before already thinning, though you remember the rhythm of it, the spirals, the breath, the stillness beneath a vast and waiting sky. You rise and walk barefoot to the edge of the balcony outside your chamber. The temple city stretches before you, radiant and calm. Smoke curls from small hearths. Children run through the side courts, laughing, their voices bouncing off the stone. The glyphs along the walls glow faintly in the morning light. And for a moment, it all feels perfectly still. You remember what the high priest said. These dreams are not answers. They are openings. And now more than ever, you feel the truth of it. Each vision you've carried, each journey across water, each silent figure in the dark has not led to a conclusion, but to a widening. As if your path, instead of narrowing toward a purpose, continues to branch outward like roots seeking deeper ground. You spend that morning walking the city with no specific destination. People greet you softly familiar faces now, not out of reverence, but recognition. The potter nods without pausing his wheel. A basket weaver offers you a tamale still wrapped in green leaf. You accept it with quiet gratitude and move on. Eventually, your steps lead you back to the wall of wind. Since that night, more dreamers have visited. The smooth stone is no longer bare. Spirals, glyphs, simple carvings of feathers and stars, even the faint outline of a canoe beneath an open sky. Each dream offered not to predict, but to hold, to let it breathe beside others like it. You sit before it and listen, not with your ears, but with the soft part of your mind that listens to quiet things. You feel the rhythms settle around you. That's when a whisper reaches your memory. The girl in the flooded vision, the one who stood upon the glyph stone, the one who pointed upward. You'd never seen her face clearly before. But now you realize something. She looked like the dream keeper. You blink, startled not by the thought itself, but by how certain it feels, like it had been waiting for you to notice. You rise, heart steady but curious, and make your way toward the herb garden near the southern wall. She is there, kneeling beside a line of young maize shoots, her sleeves rolled to the elbow, earth staining her hands. She glances up as you approach, but she does not rise. You kneel beside her. For a while, neither of you speak. You help her tend the roots, brush dirt away from curled leaves. She offers you a small sprig of holy basil, pressing it into your palm. Only then do you ask, softly, Was that you? She doesn't pretend not to understand. She simply says, yes. A beat of silence. How you ask. She places both hands on her knees and looks ahead towards the sunlit courtyard. There are dreams that travel forward, she says, just as clearly as some carry us back. What you saw was not memory. It was memory becoming. You try to understand. You knew I would see you. She nods. Not at first. But when I heard the child's dream, and when I felt the wind shift in the plaza that night, I began to remember what I had not yet lived. Her voice remains calm. Time bends differently when the gods breathe through dreams. You're quiet. The basil warms your hand, and the flood you ask. She nods again. There will be water, not just of rivers, but of movement, of people, leaving, changing, rebuilding. She smiles, not with sadness, but with steadiness. But they will remember what to carry. You feel a chill, not of fear, but awe. She turns to you. You are not meant to warn. You are meant to weave. Weave what the paths, she says, the voices, the signs. We are not here to hold one vision. We are here to help others find their place in it. You look down at the basil. You understand? That night, you dream again. But this dream is not one of gods or temples or sky-split visions. It is simpler. You walk through a marketplace sunlit, noisy, full of people carrying baskets and wrapped cloths and laughing children. There is no warning, no whisper, no mask, only motion. You pass a group of women singing as they shell beans. You smile at a boy carving a flute from bone. You sit beneath a tree and eat a piece of fruit so ripe it drips down your chin, and you laugh. For the first time in many dreams, you laugh. The dream does not end with a vision. It does not crack open with meaning. It just is. You wake refreshed, smiling, and for once, unburdened. You rise, dress simply, and carry the basil sprig to the wall of wind. There, among the carvings and glyphs, you place it at the base not because it holds prophecy, but because it grew beside someone who did. The breeze lifts as you step back. Light stirs through the courtyard, and somewhere nearby, a flute begins to play. You walk on, the sound following you like a shadow of something remembered, something becoming, and the wind, as always, knows your name. The days that follow pass with the rhythm of the wind itself, gentle, consistent, carrying change in quiet, almost invisible ways. You continue to walk the paths of the temple city, no longer searching for meaning in each gust or sign, but allowing them to pass through you, like breath. The dreams do not vanish, but they shift. They become lighter, subtler, threaded with fragments of song or half-remembered laughter, glimpses of hands weaving or rivers flowing gently under moonlight. One afternoon, you find yourself at the edge of the central market, seated beside a young man who is painting tiny glyphs onto clay cups. He dips his brush into black pigment with careful hands, his focus so complete that he does not speak for several minutes. Then, without looking up, he says, "My sister dreamed last night that she was a bird. She said you would know what it meant." You smile, not because you know exactly what the dream meant, but because you understand what he is really asking. Did she feel trapped or free? He says. She said she could see the whole city at once. She said it made her cry. Then tell her to listen to those tears. You reply, they'll tell her what she's been holding back. He finally glances up and nods. Thank you. No ceremony, no scroll, just a conversation beneath a woven awning. The smell of roasted maize in the air and the soft chatter of the market unfolding around you. This, you realize, is also the work of a dreamer, not just to journey, but to stay, not just to seek visions, but to make them gentle enough to carry home. Later that week, you are summoned to the Temple of Archives, not for a formal council, but an offering. The scribes have finished carving the initial record of the Wall of Wind into a large stone tablet. It will be placed not in the vaults, but in the open court, where visitors can pass their hands along its surface. Feel its grooves. Leave offerings beneath its base. You are asked to choose its final glyph. There is silence as they wait for your response. And then you speak the word that has followed you since the altar. The word you never said aloud until now, Akabal. The glyph for darkness before dawn. Not fear, not ending, but transition. The time of mystery, of hidden breath. The soft hour when the world is not yet awake, but not asleep either. One of the elder scribes closes his eyes and murmurs, "Yes, that is what this has been." The glyph is carved at the bottom of the tablet, small and quiet, nestled just beneath the spirals and feathers. Not a signature, a closing breath. The following day, a messenger arrives from a distant valley settlement where the rain has stopped for months. They request a dreamer, not for prophecy, but for comfort. The crops have failed, the river is low, spirits are heavy. You travel there without retinue, without ceremony. You sleep in a communal home, on a mat near the hearth. The dream you have is not grand. It is of children planting empty hands into the dirt, only to watch flowers bloom from their palms. In the morning, you tell this to the village chief. She weeps not because she believes it will literally happen, but because it gives her something she had begun to lose: patience, trust, continuance. You return quietly, stopping along the riverbanks to place a stone into the water, a round one, smooth on one side, rough on the other. You do not mark it, you do not tell anyone, you simply let it drift into the current. Back in the temple city, the seasons begin to shift. The mornings grow cooler. The stars arrive earlier. You wake one night to find the wind has changed. It smells of smoke and crushed fruit, and it no longer hums through the reeds in the same familiar tune. You step outside and find others have risen too. The dreamkeeper stands near the eastern wall, her face tilted toward the sky. A few of the younger dreamers are gathered nearby, silent, watching, and above, for the first time in years, the sky dances, a meteor shower. Dozens of streaks of light falling across the firmament like divine brushstrokes. The elders kneel, children clasp their hands. Even the stone masks carved into the temple walls seem to watch. You close your eyes, and in that moment, a dream unfolds not while sleeping, but in full wakefulness. You are standing once again in the corridor of stars, but now the doors are open, all of them, and behind each one is not a vision, but a person, someone you have helped listen. The girl with the flood, the flute-playing boy, the child who became a bird, the elder who wept over her empty riverbed. They are all there, walking the corridor with you. Some smile, some weep, some simply breathe. The spiral glyph glows beneath your feet. You are not leading. You are not following. You are walking with them. You open your eyes. The sky is still glowing, the stars still falling. Beside you, the dreamkeeper smiles. "They've been waiting," she whispers. For what? For the dreamer who would stay awake. And you understand. Your purpose was never to gather meaning like treasure. It was to hold it gently, to pass it softly, like breath shared from one body to another. When the sky returns to darkness and people drift back to their sleeping mats, you remain beneath the stars a little longer, not asking for answers, not expecting visions, only breathing, only listening, the way the wind always has. The air the next morning is thick with the smell of damp stone and blooming night flowers. You rise slowly, your bones warm from sleep, but your spirit still adrift in the quiet space left by that night under the meteors. Your feet find the cool floor before your thoughts do. You breathe in and again. You hear it, that rhythm of the wind. But now, it isn't outside you. It's something your body knows by heart. You leave your chamber before the sun lifts over the temple roof. The city is still, not silent, but resting. Even the birds seem to wait. The breeze carries the scent of roasted cacao from a distant hearth. But it doesn't stir hunger. It stirs memory. You follow it, and it brings you back, not to a temple, not to the marketplace or the archives, but to the southern edge of the city, to the wall of wind. There are others already there. The girl from the flooded village stands beside her mother, one hand resting gently on the spiral you carved weeks ago. The boy with the bone flute sits cross-legged, humming softly to himself. Eyes closed. A few unfamiliar faces stand nearby, quiet, reverent, not as pilgrims but as people who know that something sacred is not always marked by ceremony. The high priest arrives shortly after you. He walks without his attendants, robes light, expression gentle. He nods to you and to the others and takes his place among them, not as leader, not as speaker, but as one who listens. The dreamkeeper steps forward. Her hands are stained with the color of crushed hibiscus, and a coil of dried maize husks rests at her hip. She carries nothing else. She does not speak loudly. She says only, "The dreaming is changing." You feel the shift in her voice, not uncertainty, but awareness. Once, we dreamed for the gods. Then, we dreamed for kings. Then, for the safety of our cities. She looks around at the faces gathered. But now we dream, so we remember how to remain. There is no applause, no ritual cry. Just breath, yours, theirs, the wind's. She gestures toward the wall. Today, the dreams we've carried no longer rest here. They live in each of you. Then she turns to you. You've walked far in sleep and farther in waking. What do you see now? When you close your eyes, you close them. And unlike all the nights before, unlike the corridor, the jaguar, the cenote this time, what you see is simple, a circle of people, gathered beneath trees. Their hands are touching, no one speaks, but all are breathing in rhythm. You open your eyes, I see us. The dreamkeeper nods. Then we are ready. You do not ask what for. Some part of you already knows. The rest of the morning is spent not in teaching, but in sharing. The dreamers, the ones who once wandered alone, now sit beside each other, trading fragments of their journeys. One speaks of a house built from sound. Another, of rivers that flowed backward until they reached forgotten names. A child recounts a vision of fish swimming through air, leaving trails that became letters no one had learned to read yet. You listen more than you speak. You find that what you've seen is not more important than what you've come to understand, the power of presence, of being still long enough for another's dream to enter you, quietly, like steam through the cracks of a clay pot. In the days that follow, dreamers begin to travel not with titles, not under banners, but in small groups, like tendrils of breath spreading through the valleys. They carry no prophecies, only patience. They listen to dreams not for meaning, but for movement. To notice where the air has changed, where people have forgotten how to sleep gently. You remain behind, not because you're needed here, but because the wind still circles you. One night, you find yourself walking the temple grounds alone. The stars above hang low and heavy, as if watching closely. You come to the place where the basil grows near the southern wall, and you kneel beside it. Something rests in the soil, a small object, just barely visible among the roots. You dig with your fingers and find a bead, simple, carved from shell, marked with the glyph for tsikin bird. You do not know who left it. The girl, the boy, someone else. You press it to your lips and then leave it on the stone ledge beside the old feather pouch. The pouch is faded now, its colors dulled by sun and time, but it still holds the thread, the seed, the jade. You do not open it. You never have. And yet, you know everything inside, because you carry those symbols in the way you walk now. That night, you sleep without ceremony and dream without effort. This time, there is no vision, just darkness, warm, still. And in the center of it, breath, yours, ours, the wind, not moving toward anything, just being. The darkness you dream in now no longer feels like an absence. It feels like presence, like soil not empty, but full of things you cannot see yet. The kind of space that holds 1,000 seeds, each waiting for its own time. And in that space, there is no urgency, no message to chase, only breath, only rhythm, only rest. You awaken before dawn to the sound of light rain brushing the leaves above your chamber. The air smells like wet stone and wild mint. You sit up slowly, not because you must, but because it feels right. The sleep was deep, untouched by visions or warnings. It left something behind, though a feeling of fullness, as if even silence had spoken something into you. You rise and open the lattice window. Outside, the city is veiled in mist. The great plaza glistens in the early light. No one stirs yet. Even the birds are quiet, waiting for the rain to pass. You carry no pouch, no scroll, no mask. You step out barefoot, walking slowly through the corridors of damp stone, allowing your soles to feel every uneven groove. You follow the curve of the old outer wall, past the herb garden and the small shrine where a handful of red seeds have been left on a folded cloth. You pause. Someone has added a new offering there, a coil of green thread knotted in the center. You recognize it. Someone else is dreaming now, and they are ready at the wall of wind. You find a girl you don't know. She's young 12, maybe 13, leaning against the base of the stone with her arms wrapped around her knees. When she sees you, she doesn't rise or speak. She just scoots over slightly, leaving space beside her. You sit. After a while, she says, I dreamed a forest made of stars, and when I walked through it, they turned into birds. You nod. She adds, I woke up crying, but not the sad kind. You say, that's how you know it's real. She looks at you for the first time. What do I do with it? You think about all the scrolls you've read, all the glyphs you've traced with your fingertip, all the dreams you carried across rivers and under temples. You smile, you wait, you listen. And one day, someone will say something small, and you'll remember that dream. And then you'll know what to do. She doesn't ask when. She just leans her head on her knees and exhales. It sounds like relief. By midday, the sun returns. The rain leaves behind puddles that reflect the sky so clearly. You feel as though you're walking between two worlds with every step. You pass a group of scribes reading aloud from the wall, not interpreting, just reciting, letting the words echo, letting them breathe again. One voice reads your spiral aloud. Another reads the dream of the river child. Another reads Akabal, the glyph for darkness before dawn. And someone has added a new carving beside it, kin, the rising sun. No one says who made it. No one needs to. The wind has begun to shift again. Later that evening, you return to the edge of the jungle where the star diviner once traced your path in the dirt. His circle remains, though the symbols have softened under time and weather. A few vines curl through the cracks. You kneel and trace the old net glyph with your finger. Then place a single red seed in its center. This isn't a ritual, it's a memory, a continuation. And when you stand, the trees move as though sighing, their branches rising just enough to let a slice of golden sky through. Back in the compound, a new gathering is forming. But this time, you're not the one being summoned. The Dreamkeeper stands at the head of the circle with a quiet smile. Beside her are several dreamers you recognize, some who once walked silently behind you. Others who have returned from distant valleys with dust on their feet and clarity in their voices. They're ready now. They will guide. You stand at the edge of the circle, not apart from it, but no longer at its center. And it feels exactly right. As the sun dips low, casting long shadows over the glyphs on the plaza floor, the Dreamkeeper speaks. Tonight, we do not dream to escape. We do not dream to solve. We dream to remember how to be. She steps back. The new dreamers step forward. They lie down on mats arranged in a spiral. The breeze picks up. The stars begin to emerge. You watch. And then, when the moment feels full, you leave them to it. You walk the quiet corridor back to your chamber, the temple walls glowing with the hush of dusk. Along the way, you pause at the lattice window near the herb garden. You leave the small shell bead marked with tzikin on the sill, not to be kept, not to be found, but to be known by the wind. When you reach your chamber, you find the feather pouch waiting beside your mat. The cord is undone. Inside, only the red seed remains. You do not ask who opened it. You do not ask why the rest is gone. You know, you lie down, the mat warm beneath you, the air still scented with basil and wood smoke. You do not expect a dream tonight, but you will welcome it if it comes. And if not, if the night holds only stillness, only breath, that too will be enough. Because you are no longer waiting to be shown. You are simply here, breathing. And when the wind stirs again, brushing the edge of the mat, lifting the corner of the cloth, you do not reach for it. You let it pass, knowing now that not everything must be carried. Some things are meant to move on. The air is cool now, not from the breeze alone, but from the way the night itself seems to exhale. You lie still on your mat, the walls of the chamber wrapped in silence. The city outside paused in that delicate moment before dawn. No dreams press against your mind, no visions whisper from behind your breath, only stillness. This is the kind of night the elders once called the soft hour, the hour when the gods are said to step lightly through the world, careful not to wake those who still need rest. The hour when the sky and the earth trade places in silence, and everything waits. You breathe slowly. The sleep from which you've returned leaves no trace, no weight, no mystery to solve. And that, in its own way, is a gift. You feel your fingers relax, your jaw loosen, your spine sink deeper into the mat. The wind brushes the edge of the window frame and moves through the chamber like a lullaby. No dreams come, but you are not empty. You are simply full of quiet. The stars are fading now. The birds have not yet begun to sing, and still, the world turns gently beneath you, carrying your breath, your memories, your stillness like a folded piece of cloth passed from one hand to another. Let it carry you, too. There is nothing more to do tonight. Only this, only rest, only breath. So close your eyes now. If they are not already closed, let the weight of your body soften. Let the wind pass gently, and sleep well. Dreamer. End of script. Sweet dreams.